Welcome to the Topical Shelter, a safe haven for a variety of topics with a generous quantity of fun on the side. Today's topic is about one of my favorite hobbies that continuously leaves me curled up in the fetal position, sucking my thumb and crying for my sweet mama. No, I'm not talking about golf. I'm talking about fantasy football. But first, we need to set the mood by playing that iconic NFL on Fox intro to get us pumped up. Hello fantasy football fanatics. If you're new here, I'm Merle, and this is a place where we tackle all those hilarious moments and jaw-dropping last-second wins you experience during the fantasy football season, usually while redefining what fantasy really means. Now, before we dive headfirst into the world where grown adults pretend they're coaches to a bunch of millionaire athletes while secretly living in their parents' basements, let's just get one thing straight. The only thing less predictable than the weather in September is my fantasy team's performance. Picture this. It's the week prior to the start of the NFL season. I've diligently plotted out my draft strategy. I'm thinking, I'm going to be the ultimate general manager of this fantasy football franchise. I'm doing my research, looking into players' pregnancy stories, college stats, and even their TikTok dance moves. Because, it's 2024, and you know you can judge a player's performance by their social media presence. But then draft day arrives, and just like a high school crush, my whole plan goes out the window. Turns out my friends are actually fantasy vultures who snatched up all the players I wanted while I was busy Googling how to pronounce Kyler Murray's last name. Thanks, John, the guy who always steals your picks like it's a Black Friday sale. By the time I get to my last 3 picks, I'm rolling the dice and praying that I can find Jesus among the wide receivers while drafting that one guy who's on injured reserve and not expected back until the 2036 season. At least I didn't draft the guy who was deceased. Again. Fast forward to the first Sunday when I get to roll out my star-studded roster, and the only thing more disappointing than my team's performance that day was my own cooking. Spoiler alert, it involved too much tuna, garlic pickles, and grape jelly. Then I start getting bombarded with Facebook messages from my fantasy friends. And by friends, I mean the same people who claimed every available running back on waivers while all of my running backs were out with diverticulitis. And it never fails, my future in fantasy football hinges on one Monday night game that I definitely should not have stayed up for. I'm sitting there like, please, for the love of everything holy, I just need 25 points from this import kicker named Luchenko, who set the record last year for missed extra points in the CFL.
Oh. Son, I'm afraid that leg is hanging by a thread.
Luchenko must return to game.
Oh, your playing days are over, my friend. But you can always fall back on your degree in communications. Oh, dear Lord.
When the dust finally settles, I'm perched on the edge of my couch, dressed as my quarterback while drowning my sorrows in a drink I call a Nopedo, which is just lime liqueur and Tic Tacs served in a French press. If my player doesn't pull off a miracle and I lose, I'll have to endure a week of taunts, shaming, and I told you so from Nick. And we all know the punishment for losing is having to wear the I suck at fantasy football t-shirt out in public. But at the end of the day, why do we even do this to ourselves? The stress, the heartache, the reckless gambling on our favorite players. Well, because it brings us together. It floods our minds with the exhilaration of competition like a virtual sport where losers get to trash talk on a group chat while secretly faking injury as we issue our excuses. So, to all my fantasy football lovers out there, may your trades be shrewd, your players be healthy, and may all of your selfies with the championship trophy finally convince your parents that all those hours in the basement were worth it. Thank you for joining me today for a quick glimpse into my fantasy football follies. If you enjoyed this content, or if you just enjoyed laughing at my misfortunes, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share so that you can join me every 2 weeks for my next adventure here at the Topical Shelter. Until then, keep your helmet straps tight and your ends even tighter. Go Chargers! Ba-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da.